Well, loved ones, guess what? Yesterday I went to a thrift store called 2nd Avenue in Pennsauken, and I found this candlestick. This morning I got up and drove across town a few miles away to a different thrift store, and actually that was a Goodwill, and I found its mate. Wow. How is it that you find one candlestick in one store, and then you go several miles away and you find another one, and the two stores aren't even affiliated? Well, there's lots of explanations, but who cares? It's nice to put the two candlesticks back together again. This is the Cosmos pattern by Jeanette, manufactured from, the mid-40s into the early 1950s. This was just giftware sold in little department stores and that kind of thing. Okay, now let's go home, sit on the front porch, and see what else I've got.
Recollections that lie there in that old curiosity shop.
And just like that, we're back on the porch of the 1925 bungalow. Now, before we begin, today's cup of tea is brought to you by
a cup of coffee, a sandwich, and you, a cozy corner, a table for two.
Well, back in the 1930s, it was the Empire of Japan. And look at that, you recognize that majolica glaze, basket weave. Yeah, that's right. See, there's the old Made in Japan mark from the 1930s. And this hot tea is not so hot anymore, because we're only going to hit 49 degrees today here in lovely southern New Jersey. Let's see if we can put this back there without dropping it. Now, Frog, you stay out of it. I'm going to tell you about some of those other things that we see on the table as well. I hope everybody had fun last night. If you went trick-or-treating, or if you don't get into all of that, whatever you were up to. We're going to have a thrift haul today, and we're also going to do a book review. I've got two books that I'd like to tell you about. And in case you're new to the channel, I'm Scott. I buy and sell. I have a little antique business that I run. And I am always looking for items from, the turn of the century into the 1950s. I really like Art Deco, and I like glass. I go thrifting, and not just thrifting, but I go to estate sales, antique shops, that kind of thing. I have an eBay store that hasn't got anything in it right now. I did some traveling in October, then I was under the weather, and I had some house guests, and October went just like that. I was doing really well for a while, wasn't I? I was getting things listed in that store every other day. Well, don't you worry, I will get right back to it. In fact, hopefully this afternoon there might be a few things in the store, and I'll continue to build it up through November and December. So let's take a look today at what I found. The exciting thing in the car that you saw were the two Cosmos candlestick holders. And I'll tell you, this one 5 miles in that direction, this one about 5 miles in that direction, and they didn't come from thrift shops that were associated with each other. Now, since I already told you about these at the beginning of the video, we'll just jump right now to one of my book reviews. And this is a book that I enjoy quite a bit. And it's called Glass Candle Holders, Art Nouveau, Art Deco, Depression Era, Modern. See? And we'll let you see who the authors are down below, so you can write this down. See that? Now, what a wonderful time to buy books. 40 years ago, when I started buying antique books as a teenager, we paid, right? What did we pay back in those days? We paid $30 for this book. Good grief. You can get these books now, you find them on the internet. You won't pay anywhere near that much. So it is a wonderful time to be buying up reference books. And I encourage you to do it. You know why. We won't get into all of that, but books, wonderful. Now you say, yeah, but the price guides are wrong. Forget the price guides. You know, remember years ago, everybody said, well, it's $30 in the book. Everybody said the book. Well, we don't use that terminology anymore. And don't worry about necessarily what something was worth in 1986, because it's probably not got the same value today. But let's go and look and see. Now, these are made by the Jeanette Company, and let's see if we can find them in here. If you'll bear with me. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's Heisey. We getting close. There's Imperial. H-I, so Jeanette ought to be net. There it is, Jeanette Glass Company, Jeanette, Pennsylvania, 1889 to 1983. Now let's see if we can find, all right, there it is. Oh wait, there's two of them. Okay. Ah, I love my books. Look what I'm learning. Now, well, one thing somebody's going to say is, oh, it comes in yellow. No, remember sometimes the old glass has a yellowish tint to it. This one really doesn't. But sometimes when you photograph under certain lights, clear glass will have that yellowish tint to it. So this is clear glass. It just has a yellowish tint because of the photography. Well, we can see down at the bottom, there's the Cosmos stick, and it says Cosmos triple light candle holder in crystal. Yeah, circa 1940 to 1950. Okay. What I didn't know is, look, it came in a double light, right? See that? And then another mold has the triple light. We've got the triple light, so you get 6 candles all together on your table. Uncle Milton won't have any trouble finding the cranberry sauce this year if you light all 6 candles. But this one says that's the double light candle holder in crystal with pressed cherries and berries, or cherries and berries, as they say in South Philadelphia. And once again, 1940 to 1950. Isn't it funny? I'm looking at a lady walk her dog. And last Saturday, it was 81 degrees, and we were down the Jersey Shore. Today, right now, it's about 45. We've got on hoods and scarves, and I'm out here on the front porch. Anyway, I love books. You can learn so much from them. And remember, these are edited, right? So we don't have to worry. Yeah, there are mistakes in books, but a lot less than if you're just looking on the internet, which is riddled with all kinds of errors. So, found those. I found this one individual sort of 1930s, very deco, geometric looking candlestick. Haven't looked him up yet. I don't know, just found one, but it's good quality glass and I had to get it. Even just that one. And then a wonderful shade, glass shade in frosted glass. This is probably going to date from about 1918 into the mid-20s. It's an old-fashioned style, sort of the Edwardian era into the early 20s. And so a fitter would go on here and it would screw on. And sometimes these hung from a chain. They could, or they could be mounted right to the ceiling. That will eventually be for sale. Oftentimes these are called lemon servers, even if it has the little handle here on the side. But there's a nice one in flashed. That's actually not flashed. Is that glass? No, that's cut to clear. It's cut to clear, or etched to clear. That's a good one. That's a nice, this is Fostoria and Cambridge quality. See the little etching on there? No, this is cut. Okay, not etched. So it's a yellow or a topaz tinted glass, and then it is sort of frosted. Well, no, wait a minute. Is that etched or that must be, it feels cut. and frosted. Well, anyway, it's really pretty. Look at that. I know you can hardly see it with my hands in the way. There, we'll put it up against my sweater. Or jumper, if you're watching in jolly old England. There is a Philby mixing bowl. It says Fire King on the bottom in sapphire blue. I don't find the mixing bowls. I don't know. I find the bakeware a lot. The pie pans and the refrigerator dishes and thus and so. I know, Sparrow, the bird feeder is empty. I'm going to take care of you in a minute. He's looking at me like, you haven't fed us today. So that's the little nesting bowl there. Chocolate pots. I don't have a chocolate pot to show you. What do I normally find when it comes to chocolate pots? I normally find orphaned chocolate pots. And the porcelain is usually so thin it's almost always damaged. Well, this time, no chocolate pot. But what I never find are the little chocolate pot cups, the little tiny cups. Now, I have 4 cups and 6 saucers. I went ahead and bought it anyway, even though we're missing pieces. The chocolate pot collectors love this kind of thing. So I'll show you that no, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I have 6 of these and only 4 saucers. None of the little cups are broken. None of them. So there are 3 with the green grapes and 3 with the red grapes. The little cups aren't marked, but the saucers are. Look how delicate the bone china is. You can see your finger right through it. Can you? Well, yeah. See there. See my fingers right through it? I guess not. Hand painted all around. Look at these delicate little Art Nouveau handles, and none of them are broken, none of them are chipped, none of them are cracked. That just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. Now, the saucers are all the same, and these are made in Austria, and it says MZ. I'd have to look again to see what the MZ stands for. That's one that I'm just not remembering off the top of my poor little brain. So, porcelain. Yeah. So, we're going to be selling these. Yeah. 6 cups and just 4 saucers, but could not say no to that. Oh, my word. I just flipped. What did I tell you? Fostoria, mid-century, 1950s. This is a preserve. It's called a preserve dish. Caribbean blue. See? I think this also came in a peach, like a peachy color. I flipped out. Never had this before. That'll be for sale. Now, if you're saying, when are you going to sell it? You're not telling us. Well, you know, I go through probably 100 items a week. It's either going to wind up in a live sale or in the eBay store. I've told you before, if you subscribe to the eBay store, you'll get a notification that tells you when new items are listed. So you won't miss out on anything unless you don't check your email. And I'm bad for that. The other thing is that when I do live sales, I do previews, and sometimes it's just the day before, because sometimes, or the day of, and I'll show you what's coming up in that live sale for that particular Monday night. That really is the best I can do for you. I'm not so organized that I can plan weeks ahead in terms of what's being sold when. I'd like to be able to do that someday, but I'm going to need some supervisors to help me. Look at this. This has to be fantastic for the Christmas table, yeah? Pressed glass, and so an open sugar bowl and creamer. Maker unknown, not signed. Nice heavy thick glass. Yeah, the gold is starting to come off. Granny took that dish towel to it, but even with some of the gold fading a little bit, see there? Wonderful. Yeah, do you do gold and crystal for Christmas? Not everybody does red and green. And then this is a Fire King mug, and this is in their custard color, although it might look white to you. And it does say Fire King under there. I have not unwrapped this one yet. Why don't we do it? I love this particular little church thrift store because they do the little plastic wrap, even though it's still plastic. I don't have to deal with sticky tape, which is lots of fun scrubbing that off. Okay, so there's a mid-century 40s into the 50s. That's an example that I don't have in custard with the custard color. All right. Oh, why don't we do this? Because we kind of have already done this, so we won't run our lips on it. There's the Porcelain coffee pot. Hello, kitty. I see you over there. Yeah, we talked about that. So let's put that down. What's really great is to find the drippolator, and there it is. It's made out of heavy porcelain the same way that the other pieces are. Some of the other companies made these drippolator tops out of aluminum. And so you get one lid. Oh! That was almost a disaster. Which, you put your coffee grounds in there, you know how it works. Pour the hot water, it drips through, then you put your lid on there. So, I think I've got 2 of these now. Even though that coffee pot is quite common, I can hardly ever get my hands on the drippolators. All right, don't look at those yet. Quit looking at those. You're not supposed to see them yet. You're supposed to see this first. Oh, well, no, let's not do that yet. Make up your mind. I haven't looked these up yet. 6 bread and butter dessert plates, elegant depression glass, etched, unmarked, polished bottoms, pretty, pretty, pretty. Cambridge, Fostoria, Duncan Miller, you know. You know, when I don't look a pattern up, it's easier for me to tell you what it's not rather than what it is. It's not Fostoria chintz. It's not Cambridge candlewick. I'm sorry, or Rose Point. So I'll go look it up. It's easy to do. So 6 of these. Now remember, a lot of those elegant glass patterns were introduced in the 30s. Mid-30s. And if the companies stayed in business, they might use the same molds and continue making the glass for 30 years. True with a lot of the patterns. Fostoria chintz, I think, came out in 1940. And I believe they were still making it into the maybe into the early 60s. And other patterns as well. So, because, you know, people collected it, mothers used it, and then daughters used it, and they needed to keep, if the companies could make money, you know, they would keep producing it. Did you see me in the thrift shop? You saw the cheese and cracker plate. You already know, we've already talked about cheese and cracker plates, right? So we see that. Could it be? And yep, about 20 feet, well, no, about 5 feet down the line, there was the, priced separately, there was the cheese compote. So they are back together again as they should be. They got separated in the thrift shop, and I was lucky enough to get in there and put them back together again. So your cheese goes on the compote, and then your little crackers go around here. That's what they called them, cheese and cracker sets. You can put anything on it that you want. Ooh, the Christmas table. Silver overlay, It is marked Sterling here, which was a company that did decoration. I don't know if I can get you to see the word Sterling right there. See that? Yeah, I'll sell it. I'll sell it. Because I've got enough of them. Probably in a live sale. I know this is not hot anymore. I see you, gray feral cat over there. He's fine, don't worry. He's nice and fat. He's got his winter coat. There's a lady 2 streets over that has a little outside hut that he and another boy cat, they sleep in that at night. And they're fine. They won't actually, they're not afraid of me. They'll stare at me. They won't quite come up to you. But they catch birds and mice and squirrels. I know, that's what they do. They have to eat. Different people leave food out for them, and they won't eat it. They won't eat the canned food. They catch enough wild creatures. All right. You know how much I enjoy. Now somebody's going to look at this and they're going to say, "Oh, that's that glass from the 1990s," and I forget what you call it. It's not. There is a glass, and I don't know what the modern stuff is called because I don't collect it. But there's some modern glass that's black and orange, and it's actually, that's the color of the glass. This is the old Depression era glass that's painted, so they're not the same thing. So this is that waxy feel to the paint, and sometimes over the years it gets a little cloudy. Yeah, it doesn't come off. It just sometimes gets a little cloudy. That's just tape residue on the bottom I've got to get off. So it's clear glass, and then they paint it. So several companies in the 20s and 30s did it. I found this piece and this piece to go with it. A lot of cloudiness to that. I'm going to try to shine that up a little bit with some oil or something, some pledge, I don't know. You can see how clear the glass is on the bottom. I'm not sure what I know these two go together. It's the same. I bought them together. The paint is the same, the glass, everything is the same. But I don't know if it was marketed as a center bowl to sort of sit on this underplate. That could have been for anything, cakes, cookies. But it was really fun to find both of these to keep together. So this was inexpensive glass made circa 1930-ish. And you see it a lot in these really bold blue, green, orange, yellow. And I don't usually find it in red. But then a lot of times with a black stripe as an accent. And I could name 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 companies that made glass like that. All right, well, let's do these, which are still wrapped up in their little, I guess I always say saran wrap when I don't really mean saran wrap. Made in Japan in the 1930s. Those are some pretty big holes. Are they salt and pepper shakers? Probably not. They're probably a term that you don't hear anymore, muffineers, which would be for powdered sugar, because the holes are so big. If you put salt in here, oh boy, talk about blood pressure. I mean, your ankles would swell up in 5 minutes if you put salt in here and put that on your bacon and eggs. Oh, what's coming out of it? Look, I think some powdered sugar is coming out. Ugh. Anyway, kind of strange that 2 of them are together, but this would be perfect for powdered sugar in one, maybe cinnamon in the other one if you really like cinnamon. All right, so we're going to look at those again in a minute. Let's now look at this. I don't have a problem buying individual pieces like this. Now, this I just got at the thrift store. This I got at another thrift store a few days before. You notice that they don't match, but they're similar in composition. Well, not composition. They're both made in Japan in the 1930s, basket weave with a majolica glaze. And there's a made in Japan mark on the bottom. This one says flower. You'll find these a lot made in Germany and Japan in lusterware. I kind of prefer the Japanese basket weave majolica glaze from the 30s. And you can always display it that way if you would rather not display it that way. Now let me show you something that I've had for at least a year. These shakers, which do appear to be salt and pepper because we can see different size holes and different amounts of holes on them. Look at how we can match these. Now this is not an exact match. It's very close. The green is a little different. The flowers are a little different, but so much mass produced, mostly for the American market from Japan in the 1930s, and it was very popular. So this is a fun type of thing, excuse me, a fun type of thing to collect. Is this. Now let's take a look. Let's do another book review, and that would be, this is my go-to author for Made in Japan, and this is Carol Bess White. She has several volumes. That's volume 3. I think there's a picture of her in here somewhere. There she is. There's the author. You see her? All right. And this is the collector's guide to Made in Japan. This gal knows what she's talking about. And I love these books because she gives you history of Made in Japan from the 1860s up to the 1960s and 70s. You can get Japanese patent numbers, which is fun. And the pictures are in color. I guess I should let you see. You know, this is something that could keep you busy for the rest of your life, just collecting Made in Japan, which was a big collectible field 40 years ago. Not so much now, but there is still a great amount of this out there because it was very inexpensive, sold at Woolworths, five and dimes, that kind of thing. Murphy's, Grant's, Ames. You know, oh, did I just see? Ah, I did just see. All right, let's see what she has to say about majolica, because we're looking at these canisters here. Aha. Ooh, majolica-style. I guess I'm allowed to read this. I'm giving credit to Carol Bess White. Let's see what she says about majolica-style, because you often hear me say with a majolica-style glaze or a, you know, majolica piece. Majolica, well, let's see what she says. Here we go. You ready? Class, be quiet. Sit down. Turn around. Majolica is pottery made of earthenware with colorful metal-based glazes usually containing tin. Okay, very good. True majolica, parenthetic or in quotes, was made in the Victorian era from about 1850 to 1900, made mainly in England and America. Other countries produced it as well, and versions of majolica have been made fairly continually right up until the present time, including pieces of reproduction Victorian majolica that we currently see at every flea market. And yeah. Okay. There are 3 schools of thought about Japanese majolica. Oh, I can't wait. The first school feels that it is not true majolica, okay, because it was made later and the quality is not always as fine as the Victorian era majolica. All right, I'm not going to quibble with that. That's why you'll hear me say majolica-style, and she says that as well. The second school feels that since virtually every ceramics producing country made it over such a long span of time, that the Japanese ware is just as true as any other majolica. See? All right. The third school just doesn't care. Oh, I love this woman. Come on over, Carol Bess. We would get along fine. Who cares? You know, I love her. She says this, the third school of thought just doesn't care. I'm in that third school of thought. You know, I'm not one to quibble. It's not a candlestick, it's a candle holder. You know, it's not, you know how people do. They like to, it's not a lemon server, it's a nappy. Now, sometimes you do need to be specific about things, but a lot of times we do fuss and quibble about things. I guess it makes it interesting. But anyway, I'm with you. I don't care. I like it. It's majolica style. And there it is. So this was like $2 or $3. And that's another fun thing you can put together. Pieces and mix and match. And it really does. It's inexpensive to do. You know, this is probably one of the nicest things we can do is, you know, this is the recycling business here. All right, I'm not going out and buying brand new and having packaging and buying things from a factory that's spewing carbon into the atmosphere. This is a very green business that we're in. I didn't really mean to get off on that. All right, let's put that in. We're going to wrap it up because it's 30 minutes. 30 minutes. The last thing I want to show you is an honorable mention piece the day after Halloween. Speaking of made in Japan, this has one of those typical marks on the bottom. This would have come out of Japan probably in the 1950s. In fact, I know this is from the 1950s because I have photographs of it sitting on a shelf in my grandparents' kitchen. Now you might say, what kind of grandparents did he have? Well, this belonged to the fun grandparents. I shouldn't say that. My other grandparents, they were fun. But this other set of grandparents, they saw life from a different angle, shall we say. And anyway, remember those old-fashioned kitchens made of metal that came out in the late 30s into the 40s? That was my grandparents' kitchen with those little shelves that went up next to the window, you know, over the sink, those little half circular shelves. And my grandmother had it packed with things. That was on that shelf, and I remember it as a kid growing up. And it was in there when my father was a boy, and it was just one of those little things that was on those little shelves in the kitchen, and I've had it ever since. So I've never seen another one, and I wouldn't sell it for anything. Okay, that's it. I'm just kidding. Both sets of grandparents were fun. One was a lot more fun than the other. I think I told you before, when I would go to the fun grandparents' house, they would give me Pringles and soda. The other grandmother, a Dixie cup of Hawaiian punch and one vanilla wafer, sometimes two. Anyway, that's it. What did you like? What didn't you like? I had a lot of fun thrifting, and it's always fun to sit on the front porch and talk to you about it. What are your memories? Do you remember any of this? Are you going to decorate in, what colors are you going to use this Christmas? Are you going to do gold and silver or gold and crystal? Have you decided to go out and start finding majolica, you know, made in Japan? What do you think about these collector's books? It's a great time to find these books. Tell you what, you can build up a nice little library for yourself. And I just like promoting books. I don't know why. Okay, that's it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. We'll talk about it in the comments section below. I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop. Have yourselves a wonderful afternoon Wait for the cat. And so long. Not that cat, my cat. And so long for now.